Hi, I'm Bench, and this is Doing Outdoors. If you've watched my last video, you can remember that I took 7 of the 15 piglets off to the abattoir. Well, we got those piglets back the Wednesday after they went. Out of the 7, I was keeping 2 pigs back for myself and my immediate family, and I had those given back to me in half pigs, not butchered at all. The other 5 came fully butchered, and you can see from the picture of the back of my van on the day when I collected them, there's a lot of white bags. There was 10 white bags. Each bag contained half of a pig that had been fully butchered, and they're on top of the bags with the 2 pigs left in full halves. My idea was to hang those pigs in my larder fridge that I have in my garage, and then I would butcher them from there. Unfortunately, the pigs were a lot bigger than my larder fridge would accept, so 2 of the halves I had to cut up. As soon as I got back home, I basically just cut them down into their primal quarters, just so I could stack them on in another fridge on the shelves. But ultimately I butchered those 2 pigs. It took me quite a while. So what I eventually did with the 2 pigs I had to butcher myself was I made the front shoulders of both the pigs purely into sausage, which meant that all I had to do was basically debone and skin the front end of these pigs. That all went through the mincer, mixed with a bit of rusk, some herbs and spices, and I made a lot of sausage. I think I ended up making something like 30 kilos of sausage in total. You silly sausage. I get too much meat in. So once I'd filled all the sausage casings, it was then time to teach myself how to tie these sausages as a butcher would. And this is what YouTube's great for. I hadn't got a clue before. It took me about 2 or 3 minutes to figure it out after watching a couple of videos on YouTube. And I've linked all my sausages this way. It just makes it a lot easier to portion them up later on. You can get them all about the same size doing it like this. And you know what, it's the professional finish. Next, there was the middle of the pig, which consisted of the belly and the loin. And although I like pork chops quite a lot, I thought it'd be better to make all of that into bacon. So again, taking the bone out, which would then become spare ribs essentially, taking all the skin off, because I'm not too keen on skin on my bacon. I know it can be done and people do enjoy it, but it's not for me. I have better plans for me pig skin. But yeah, skin the middles. I cured them with a mixture of salt, sugar and some sodium nitrite. I know some people don't like to use sodium nitrite, but I've used it in the past. I'm still alive and it tastes damn good. And then the back legs, I had planned on making them into roasting joints, but in fact I made half into roasting joints and then the other half I turned into some hams, which I first soaked in a brine to cure them. They are still in the brine. I've got to get them out in the next day or so, and then they will be cooked further, sliced, packed, and then frozen. But we eat a lot of ham in our house, so I thought it'd be a good idea to make some ham. One thing that I didn't make this time round was the salami. I had purchased all the ingredients and the skins to put the salamis in, but because these pigs weren't very old, the fat covering wasn't massive. It wasn't bad. I think on the kill sheet that I got for the 7 pigs that I sent, the range of fat thickness went from 9mm to 12mm. I think the ideal point would be 13mm, so I wasn't far off. But the next pigs that I send, they're going to be a bit bigger. They should have quite a bit more fat cover in the back, and you need quite a bit of fat to put into your salami, so I thought better of it this time round. But the bacon that came out of the cure very recently, so there we go. This is the bacon I have taken out of the packet yesterday, washed it off, pat it dry, and I've hung it in the fridge to set for 24 hours. We have still got some hams in a brine in this bucket, and even more bacon down there that needs to come out today. That needs to be washed and then hung, the same as this bacon. So we just need to whip this inside, get it sliced up, get it packed up, and start eating it. I had bought a slicing machine to cut this bacon, although I haven't got to grips with it yet. I ran some pieces through it and it didn't do a very good job, so I ended up cutting it all with a knife by hand. And the bacon is absolutely fantastic. But then we had to think about what we were going to do with all the bones that we'd taken out of this meat. So after a little bit of research on the internet and through YouTube, it seemed like a good idea to make it into a bone broth. So after chopping the bones a little bit smaller and then putting those in the oven to roast first of all with a few vegetables and a bit of garlic, they were then boiled in a slow cooker for 17 hours, and that has given us quite a few jars of bone broth and a couple of bottles too. And then there was all the skin that we'd taken off this pork whilst turning it into sausages and bacon. Now, I'm a massive fan of pork scratchings, and so is everyone else in the household, so that all got turned into pork scratchings. I cut quite a lot of the fat off the inside of the skin to go into my sausages, just to make the sausages extra juicy. But even though it didn't have much fat on, we still cut the skin into strips, threw it in a pan and cooked it on a slow heat, on a slow low heat for a long time. And it made some very, very good pork scratchings, just with a little bit of salt at the end. Look at me. So these scratchings have been in the pan about 4 hours now, and they are ready. We'll get them out of the fat and give them a sprinkle of salt. Bang on. That's what we want. And this one is still warm. So we've got the bacon sorted out. That's at home. I sliced some yesterday. We've got some fresh eggs now. I'm going to get myself home, rustle up a nice bacon cob. So these are my not so very big rashers of bacon sizzling in the pan. Hopefully when I butcher, the next pigs are going to be a bit bigger and I'll get some better pieces of bacon. But this stuff tastes lovely. Put them together with the eggs that I fetched out the nest box this morning. And we've got a self-sufficient bacon cob, although I had to buy the cobs in, but we won't talk about that. But that's all we've got time for on this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.